if these two things actually play out, it can be a long time for China to ever recover if these two things happen in the economy. What Xi Jinping had to say and what they're going to be doing. Xi Jinping remains president. He got his third term. He had his 20th National Congress speech, and he said a lot about the future of the Chinese economy going into 2023. So if you're an investor in Alibaba, NIO, Tencent, JD.com, you have to look at the Chinese economy and what he's seeing, the outlook he has for the country. So let's get into it in this video because there is good and bad. I'm going to give you the good first because we always want the good, and then I'm going to get you the bad things I have to report in this. Now I'm going to summarize his whole speech. So we're going to get into it. We're going to see how he sees the Chinese economy developing and what he did for the Chinese economy the past 5 years. Let's talk about the good and bad of his 20th National Congress speech and what we can expect going into 2023. I'm going to summarize the points that Xi had, and I'm going to link the article down below with the summary. So this article gives you the insights on what Xi Jinping had to say about everything going on in the economy in the future. So before he gets into the future, he talks about his performance in the last 5 years and what he did for the economy. So if you really open your eyes, he actually did a lot for the economy and the growth of China. So here was his performance review numbers. Xi acknowledged China's economic achievements by stating the growth of China's GDP to 114 trillion won in 2021 weighted over 18% to the world's GDP and contributed over 38% of the world growth, which is insane. Xi also proudly announced that China has achieved a well-off society over 100 million people, which is a key target for the CCP to achieve. This is to help the low-income households to meet and beat the previous average income to bring them out of poverty. He also emphasized the kickoff initiatives, including not limited to material improving China's economic influence on the international stage, building innovative technology, advancing key technologies in crucial areas. One of the best parts of the performance review is that he acknowledges what's going on in the economy now and what's going on in the economy in the past, because he's dealing with a lot of stuff happening right now when it comes to zero COVID policy. He's acknowledging that. He's acknowledging the economic growth slowdown. So he's seeing the trends happening there and relationships with the rest of the world. And he's trying to align policy towards just building relationships so he can kind of continue that growth. So if need be, he's going to align with people to help the economy grow. He doesn't want to alienate the US or alienate anyone else. That is what he's acknowledging in this National Congress message. So in the second part, we're going to summarize the good things Xi had for the economy going into the future when it regards to international, domestic, and the economic growth of the country. So let's get into it in this part of it. High quality growth. Xi highlighted that economic development remains important with continued focus on high quality growth, focus on the real economy when boosting the modernization of industrial supply chains. People are the focus. Xi reiterated to further improve income, people's livelihood, and employment, suggested accelerating the establishment of a housing system. Dual circulation growth, focus on domestic growth together with an international investment opportunity. That's very huge if you're going to be investing in stocks, because he's focused on domestic growth and international investment opportunities. Global initiatives commitment. Carbon green are all mentioned in the report. Xi emphasized proactively and gradually achieving carbon neutral goals. So you can kind of see how all of those policies kind of align with the growth of the economy and how he's going to achieve that looking forward, because 2023 is going to be a big pivotal just mark for the Chinese economy, because people are already down on it. This whole 2022, people are saying China's not going to grow anymore. They're going to collapse. They're not supporting the real estate, zero COVID policies. There's so much wrong going on, but he sees a positive future moving along as he grows the low-income people to the middle class, as he focuses on international growth and growth domestically. So there's a lot of good stuff to look for if you believe his words. Now we're going to get into the bad stuff that the CCP said or Xi Jinping said. We can kind of interpret it that way, or you can kind of interpret it in a good way if he's still going to be doing what he's been doing in the past. With the new policies coming in, we don't know exactly how it's going to go. So we kind of have to keep our eyes open and be wary. So let's get into these two things. 2 key milestones for the CCP to deliver. 2020 to 2035 to basically achieve a socialist modernization. What does he really mean by being a socialist modernization society? 2035 to 2050, build China into a great modern socialist country that is prosperous, strong, democratic, culturally advanced, harmonious, and beautiful. National security. Xi emphasized the need to firmly implement the national basic policy of one country, two systems. Regarding Taiwan, Xi pledged to make the most efforts to pursue a peaceful reunification, but said China will not promise to renounce force. This policy is not new and should not surprise the market or investors. It is emphasis only. Xi has repeatedly said the people on both sides have always wanted peace and is committed to making the effort to pursue it that way. So when he states that he wanted to be a more socialist country, like what does that really entail? Because he already talked about common prosperity and pretty much kind of sharing the wealth, but that doesn't really mean a lot because if you're just taxing people and giving those taxes to the poor or helping them come up, I don't think that's that bad. But if you're talking about removing private companies and not letting companies flourish, you can't get many Chinese billionaires anymore. If we're talking stuff like that, that means all hell will break loose. And I don't think it will be that way because he hired his second in command, Lee, and Lee is all for high tech companies and providing a private sector for tech companies. So I don't really think that's going to happen. And then on Taiwan, if this Taiwan war really happens, man, it's just over, man. Like this country won't recover. Like you've already seen what's happening with Russia and Ukraine and how that's all hell break loose. And you can just see what the Russian economy is going down south, and people are not trading stocks there and can't even trade Russian stocks like that like you could before. So already seeing what the US can do if war breaks out when it comes to Russia stocks and the Russia economy. So guys, tell me what your thoughts are on this whole Congress meeting, his speech. What do you think is going to happen in the future? Do you think China is going to go back to those 5-6% GDP growth rates? What do you think about China, guys? Like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel, please. Peace.